Hello, it is Saturday, March 29th, 2025, and I am bringing another daily devotional today. Just my comments and impressions upon reading the UCC daily devotionals, not necessarily from a particularly Christian perspective, but just how it impacts me, the thoughts it brings to my mind, and hopefully give you something to chew on, to think about, to consider in your search for community and ways to live with one another in this world, and ways to overcome uh, the horrible things that are going on in our nation and our world today. But perhaps some kind of thread for you to hang on to in the words that I'm sharing. The devotion that I'm reading today from the UCC is Allergic to God, written by Molly Baskett. Molly bases the devotion upon Galatians chapter 6, verse 7a from the New Revised Standard Version. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. And then Molly writes, ask the evangelical internet, and you might hear that Christianity is under attack by malevolent forces that hate Jesus Christ. The opposite is true. Plenty of folk are angling to make our country a right-wing Christian theocracy with some success. But where I live in the Bay Area, to admit publicly that you are a Christian is to court immediate and vehement scorn. Which honestly I get when I see how some of my co-religionists behave. Many of my neighbors think all Christians are fools, bigots, and or potential domestic terrorists. So I knew what I was in for at the Bay Area Book Festival, trying to sell something very few people wanted, a memoir of progressive faith. I'd even brought free stickers with quotes from the book. One sticker echoed Rumi, dance when you're broken open. Another said, God is not an a-hole. Still another said, God didn't send the disaster, but she will use it. One guy glanced at my stickers, saw the word God, and looked up at me. Good luck with that, he said flatly before moving on. It's one thing to come from me and the spiritual siblings with which I'm albatrossed by the name Christian. It's another thing to scorn God when you've had very little firsthand exposure to Christian community. It's like they have an allergy to something that their bodies think is poison, but might, under the right circumstances, turn out to be the bread of life. And Molly's prayer. God, we are stubborn and prejudiced people, some in one way, some in another. Bend us, feed us. Heal our anaphylactic response to what is truly you. I had a lot of reactions to this. One is, I'm in agreement with Molly in the sense that there are a lot of people, myself included sometimes, who, I don't know, I'm just totally turned off by everything Christian, quote-unquote Christian these days, because of what's being done in the name of Christ in the world today. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. Most people, I would say the vast majority of so-called Christians in the United States are not truly following Christ, but are instead following something else and standing behind the shield of Jesus as if to excuse the abhorrent things that they're doing. And in my mind, so many of them have actually embraced the very temptation that the Bible tells us Jesus rejected, and that is aligning yourself with empire to gain political control so you may enforce your religious beliefs upon everyone. Go back and read the temptations of Christ and tell me that that's not what he was really tempted with. Anyway, the other element of it is that I know a lot of people who are probably more Christ-like than most people I know who call themselves Christian and yet don't believe in God, are atheists, and may have in fact been Christians, some of them even Christian ministers. So I don't think that their scorning of God has anything to do with little firsthand exposure to Christian community. I think it may have a lot to do with not being exposed to true community, because you don't necessarily always find that within a church community. And you can also find it in many places other than in church. And I think that's what a lot of us are really searching for and really need in our lives is true community. But I think true community begins with us and understanding how we are one body. We are related and interrelated with one another and with all of creation. And in a sense, I guess that's a different understanding of who and what God is. Perhaps God is our shared, recognizing our shared existence. I don't know. But I think we need to think a lot about that, and it isn't necessary to turn to a particular religion, organized religion, but just coming to an understanding of how we exist in the world and how we interact with one another, and how important it is to understand how interconnected our lives are with one another and with the world in which we live. Those are my thoughts. Yours may be different. Every devotion stirs up different things. And one of them is that we need to come to understand the lens through which we view the world, because that really does filter our understanding. And I think that's a big issue with a lot of people who consider themselves Christian today, is they're blind to the way that they see the world, and have ignored the fact that Jesus came to cure the blind, and they can't even see that they are blind. Anyway, my thoughts. Hopefully you can find a way to build community, to find the divine in the world and in one another, and perhaps in one way or another that will come to be your understanding of who and what God is. Anyway, my thoughts for the day. Hope you have a good day. Hope you can enjoy some of this spring weather, and hope to talk to you again soon.